Tasmania, and I will be a moderator today. This session is Navigating Cybersecurity Safely in the Workplace, presented by Neill MacRae and Ben Fonsoma from Pritech. In recognition of the deep history and culture of this island, we acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the original and continuing custodians of the land, sea, and sky. We acknowledge and pay our respects to all Tasmanian Aboriginal people, all of whom have survived invasion and dispossession, and continue to maintain their identity, culture, and Aboriginal rights. Please now take a moment to read the following slide about information received today. Please use the chat tab to type any questions you may have for today's presenter. The question session will be in two segments, the latter being a lengthier one. Those questions will be answered at the webinar. Only presenter webcams will be used. And today's presentation is also being recorded and will be available on WorkSafe Tasmania's YouTube channel towards the end of the month. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce our presenters, Neill and Max. Neill is an operations manager and director of Pritech with over 25 years of experience in the ICT and telecommunication industries. He specializes in business operations, strategy, and integrating communications into ICT infrastructure. Originally from South Africa, Neill is now a proud Tasmanian resident. Max is a cybersecurity and solution specialist at Pritech with experience in networking engineering, support leadership, and secure automation. He holds ISC2 cybersecurity certification, AWS cloud practitioner status, and now is an ASD TaskTape certified Essential 8 assessor. Max focuses on solving complex technical challenges while promoting secure and responsible AI use. Welcome so much to the webinar, Neill and Max. Over to you.
Thanks very much. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining in. We're happy to be presenting to you. This is a subject that's passionate to both Max and I, so it's always exciting to get out amongst the wider community to present these things. So a little bit about Pritech. We've been around now in the Tasmanian market for a bit over 25 years. We're a boutique style managed service provider with a real focus on a security forward presentation in the market. We work with our customers in a consultative way to ensure that they stay secure and that their IT infrastructure keeps working. As mentioned, my name's Neill. I'm the operations director at Pritech. I focus mostly on the customer relations side of the business. So if you call Pritech to chat about your IT services, it's likely me that will be working with you to design solutions and work out a plan for you. Max is our cybersecurity guru. This is really his passionate area, and it's the area that he loves working in. He's really focused his learning and career in the direction of cybersecurity. As an overall company, we tend to focus on cybersecurity solutions that will allow your business to keep functioning rather than hamstringing your business just to check a checkbox. So, thought we'd jump off into the start of the presentation with a little bit of a poll, just to understand your understanding of cybersecurity and the risk of cybersecurity. So you should all have the poll popping up on your screen now. Which of these actions carries the biggest hidden cyber risk? Is it A, saving a password in your browser, B, opening a PDF from a regular supplier, C, using ChatGPT for your work tasks, D, signing into a work email from your home computer, or E, sharing a document link with a colleague? I'll give you guys all a minute to think about that. When we get, I'll make us get to 100% of answers. Everyone answer the question. 60%. There's going to be someone that holds out now and just makes it sit at 99%.
It's an important question, definitely worth going through all the answers correctly.
No, absolutely. So just reiterating, is it A, saving a password in your browser? B, opening a PDF from a regular supplier? C, using ChatGPT to do your work? D, signing into a work email from your home computer? Or is it E, sharing a document link with a colleague? I think we'll call it there. We're at 77, 80%. We're getting there. Let's call it there. Surprisingly, the answer is it's actually all of them. All of these seemingly innocuous items are actually significant risks in the cybersecurity environment, depending on how you do them. Now, all of these things are things that you can do in different ways, but they are all inherently a risky way of doing that. So that brings us to today's agenda. So what we're going to discuss today is really how to be cyber safe in the workplace. We're going to try and keep it relatively non-technical in what is a technical field. Obviously, we're always happy to have technical conversations further down the track, and we'll give you an opportunity to do that. But firstly, we're going to talk about the emails that fool everyone. We'll give you a real example of a phishing attempt for a Tasmanian business. We'll talk about how the bad guys know your name, what is OSINT. We'll talk about 4 simple protections that you can do. And we'll have a little bit of a Q&A on that. Then jumping into part 2, we'll talk about AI oversharing. This is something that we're seeing a lot of in the market at the moment. We'll talk about your digital footprint, how much information you are giving to people. We'll talk about the ChatGPT problem and a few easy habits to fix. And then we'll talk about the anyone with the link disaster and how to securely share data. I'll hand this one over to Max.
Thank you very much, Neill. Also from my end, thanks very much for spending your time today with us, looking into the subject. Cybersecurity is always an important topic. It's never going to go away. It's never going to get solved by the best solution out there. And if there's one thing you can hopefully take away from today's session, it is that the biggest and best cybersecurity tool you have in your box is actually you and your own awareness. Because you'll see now in a few examples and things we talked through that from a technical perspective, the bad guys will probably always be a step ahead. But if you bring the right mindset and awareness to it, you can always be ahead of them. And yeah, we're going to start now with our little example. So I give you a bit of a pre-story. So we thought this example is really relevant because this is one of our customers. This is a medium-sized business, as we have many in Hobart, Tasmania, or Launceston, all around Tassie. So this is not a business, I would say, which you would think is the typical target because I don't know, they deal with money or they have a lot of sensitive data that could be sold on the dark web. I'm not going to disclose at all what the customer is in this case, and I can also assure you that this customer has not been breached or compromised in any way. But we just thought this is a very interesting example because it really shows you how close to home and how sophisticated phishing attempts really can go. So now, before I show you the first piece of evidence, this email was sent to the support at, and then the company email from this company. And it did go through any email filters. There's several reasons for that. I'm not going to go into technical detail, but it is possible, and it happened in this time. And the person who raised it with us is very cyber aware, even though it's probably not a technical person. And she said, well, I got this email, and it looks, everything in there, even the attachment looks quite legit, but we're not such a big team, and I never heard of something like this. So now I'm going to go forward, show you the first evidence. There you go. Yeah. All right. So what you see here, very strongly redacted, of course, is the PDF. You may ask, how can we see all these things? What we do when we get a phishing email, we can open that in a secure environment. It's called a sandbox. just think of it like a fake computer that runs Windows 10 with literally every security measure that's usually on there removed. But it secretly records everything that happens in the background so we can see what's going on. So in the sandbox, I open this PDF. And this looks like here, here you would see under the, here under the red box was the real logo from this company in a high resolution. This here was printed the name of the company and then Handbook 2025. And yeah, there's a few interesting things to it. So let's talk through the numbers. Number one, you see the word benefits package. You see the word benefit here. So we started psychology you would have from people trying these attempts. There always has to be some kind of law, and benefits package obviously is something that sounds like positive to you, maybe some money involved. Okay, interesting. The next one, number two. This is the same email address that this was sent to. It kind of doesn't work that well when it says support, because obviously that's an email address used for support and not a real person. But obviously, if somebody with their real name would have received this, it would be even more likely. Number three. This is something where we, as security researchers, start raising an eyebrow, because if you look in detail, it says Monday, June, but it doesn't say the actual date. That'll give you a bit of an indication that this was probably crafted in a country that doesn't use Western language. Not going to jump to any conclusions, but it's probably not English speaking. But what is, however, accurate was the date and the time was, that was probably 8 hours before this was received. So this is quite, same as down here, this is quite, yeah, quite interesting. All right, let's keep going. Again, completed by redacted name of the company and human resource. Then we go to number 4. This is what you probably know from marketing, a call to action, saying if you have to now do what we tell you on this sheet. Please do this and this to get your benefits or to get your money. And then next detail, number 5, use your phone camera. Very interesting detail for this attempt, because I'm going to show you in a moment what we found in the sandbox when we open it in a browser. And there's a few details where I think even somebody who's completely technically has no idea would say, this looks a bit funny. But if this is all reduced to a small mobile screen, then probably more likely. So what you see under number 5, redacted, is a QR code. And we, of course, scanned these QR code, not with our phones, but with a free QR code scanner online. And that tells you exactly what this QR code does. And the QR code just pretty much opens a link, a web link to a website. Yeah, and we opened that link in our sandbox, and the next thing that we saw was this. This is a redirect page. At least that's what it's trying to tell you. I mean, there's a few things that are a bit funny if I see that with an experienced eyes, that the SharePoint on the top left looks a bit funny. You can see at the top there's a very, very long URL, and if that would be a link to a real SharePoint site, it probably wouldn't be that long. But yeah, something I'd like to have your attention on is definitely, you can see there's a shield and a little lock symbol at the top left. So that means that this crafted website we're looking at the moment that is forwarding this request from the QR code has a certificate on it and uses HTTPS. So that means that people who crafted that have somehow registered this redirect somewhere. And now we go to the next one. So this redirect screen was only showing for half a second or so. This is all just masquerade, basically, that happens. But we know that because we always video record what happens, so we can later have these screenshots. All right, here. Number 1, I already talked about this. Then number 2. Number 2 obfuscated is the address of what we call command and control server, or the C2 server. So that's a a computer somewhere in the internet that the attackers control, and how to get there. What then is very interesting is number 3, and that is actually the legit authentication protocol that Microsoft would use, and also a bit of the client ID of this customer. And then after that, a lot of gibberish at number 4, which is directly connected to this form of exploitation. And what we're looking at here, this case, is a so-called adversary in the middle attack. So that means that you are being tricked into signing into your real Microsoft 365 environment. And the cheap and unsophisticated version of that is that they craft a sign-in screen that looks like Microsoft, but it's actually their own. That's quite obvious. But what we're looking at here is a true adversary in the middle attack, which means we are actually being redirected to the real sign-in screen of this customer, but via the server of the threat actors. And you can see, this is another thing that is a way to try to lower the boundary of people following through with this scam, is at number 5, the email address that we already had in the PDF, and is also the recipient of this phishing email, is already populated in this sign-in screen. And that's all of that happens automatically. And this is also a real Microsoft sign-in screen. I spared you the details, but if you look in the developer tools and you of the browser and look deeper in it, you can definitely tell that this is a real sign-in screen. So what happens if we would now go in there? Obviously, I'm not that support person, so I was just wondering, okay, how well sophisticated is this? So why not click on forget my password and see what happens? And then we got this. And this is not the most modern and newest password reset page from Microsoft, but it is a real one. So if you would type in what you see at number 1 into your browser right now, you would get exactly the screen. This is, again, a real Microsoft sign-in screen. You can see at number 3 how, again, this real email address is already pre-populated. And yeah, now to close the loop here, how this exploit would have worked. Basically, when you type in your password here, and even if it sends your authentication request to your multi-factor authentication, you get a little number on your phone, and you type it in, it will just sign you into Microsoft. And that's all that's going to happen, and nothing else will happen. And you will probably think, oh, well, that was nothing, nothing to worry about. But because this whole transaction was redirected via the server that is controlled by the bad guys, all of the information, you saw a session cookie or so-called token, which has the information that you're allowed to access this Microsoft 365 tenant, is immediately in the hands of the attacker. And the way how it's been set up, because they have better things to do than sit there and control everyone, it'll automatically sign in on their end, probably change your password and your MFA method, and start harvesting everything that's in that 365 account. And yeah, if I can put my money on it, this is the most common attack method that we are seeing at the moment, locally here in Hobart. And at the moment, we don't see any accounts of this going down. So this is something we probably have 3 or 4 times a week. Not on our customers getting this all the time sometimes, but we do have a lot of what is called lateral movement, where our customers receive an email from somebody they trust that have been compromised, and these lateral emails from this trusted person would carry something like this. And obviously it would get through your mail filter because you've been talking to that person from that other company before. And you would probably also open the attachment, even if it looks funny, because you would think, why would this guy send me this? That's funny. And your curiosity opens it. Yeah. I think that kind of summarizes what I wanted to show. Yeah, here again, what I just said, basically how this attack chain works. You received the email from someone that was compromised already. It doesn't have to be you. That's not where it starts. Mostly it starts somewhere else. The bait is this PDF and the QR. And a lot of people are still in this mindset, oh, don't open an attachment, a PDF, because then it executes some malicious code on my machine. And we see this still, but it's very, very minor. The trick is actually just the link in the QR code. I've taken apart some of these PDFs in something's called a debugger that takes it apart on the code level, and you just don't find anything and spend 4 hours on it. It's just this QR code, that's it, and where it links to. Yeah, no need to go down the rabbit hole. All right, the fake is, yeah, you either get to a fake sign-in screen or you get to a real sign-in screen. Either way, I can tell you the ones that are fake that we've seen are so good that I actually thought the first time it is a real one, and it wasn't. Yeah, and the result is you're compromised. Okay, next one. Now you may ask yourself, how did they know? I mean, okay, the support email address, that's a bit of an obvious one, but how would they know your specific email address? And what they usually use is something called OSINT, or that's, let's say, the security industry word for it, and it stands for open source intelligence. And yeah, as you can see on the slide, it's usually publicly available data. That's what especially I would say the poor hackers do, that are not part of a criminal syndicate, that have some more money than, let's say, a couple of $100 for spinning up a server like this. They don't need to go to the dark web and then go to these crazy marketplaces and buy from data brokers. They literally just gonna go create 20 or 50 or 250 LinkedIn profiles, and then they're gonna try to become your friend. And what you probably heard of in the industry you're working, I just know that from YouTube. There's this thing where it says, if you want to have a really powerful LinkedIn profile, you should have at least 500 contacts or something, and then certain perks are being unleashed or something. I'm not an expert there, but as soon as you do not 100% know who is in your LinkedIn, you start losing control about what people can see and who can see it. Yeah, and the other thing that OSINT always does is obviously multiple data streams. So they may not get that much from LinkedIn, other than maybe your email address or some names of your colleagues, but then they take a screenshot of your photo, put it into Google image search, find you on Instagram, Facebook, whatever other social media is there. If they have a bit more sophisticated, a bit money behind them, there's tools on the dark web where they can use WhatsApp and find out your phone number just by matching your face. And yeah, and obviously, as we are all now in the AI hype area and everyone has very powerful tools to save time, they do the same. I just gave you an example prompt at the bottom. If you're, for example, aware of agent-style tools like OpenAI's ChatGPT agent, everybody can get for, I think, $30 a month or something. If you, for example, ask something like, I'm applying for a job at ABC company, please find out anything relevant about this company so I can understand if this is a place where I want to work. Can you find anything else on the internet or on Glassdoor, or can you even find anyone on social media talking about this company? You just have to word it nicely so ChatGPT doesn't say you're a hacker. Yeah, the agent does the work for you. And the more data you have from different stream sources, that's pretty much how much easier it gets for them. So yeah, this is, when I say the top 5, this is the most powerful sources from open source intelligence that people probably underestimate and get used all the time. I always think the most scary ones are probably the one at the top. You have to understand that no matter how locked down your Facebook or LinkedIn account is, if it's linked to your legal name and there's a photo, that's already open source intelligence that can be used for reverse image search to find you somewhere else. I'm not saying delete your LinkedIn and Facebook. The point is, understand that this is possible and that the people who know nothing about you and who are on the other end of the world and only have access to a computer will make the most out of these little details to get as far as they can. Another interesting one, looks obvious, but number 2, taking photos at summits. Everyone always makes photos at summits, and it's great. You know, there's this marketing character to it. You want to say, look, this is where we went, this is what we learned, this is good content for your LinkedIn. The amount of photos of people wearing their lanyard, which consists the name, the company, sometimes the QR code, which they use themselves. That's premium open source intelligence and should never ever be uploaded anywhere. Yeah, and then other details. Obviously, I spoke before with signals from different sources. If you have a reasonably open Instagram and you post things like, I can't wait to go to my vacation, or write some, or just post a photo of you in the airport terminal. If somebody has all of these information and you're sharing it publicly, it doesn't mean that one account has to be fully publicly. It's just a little bit here and there. It's mostly enough. They would probably, if they're planning a targeted attack on you, they will probably wait for you to be in your holidays before they try getting into your account somehow, because then nobody would realize and ring the alarm bells. Okay, what else do we have? Yeah, the attack chain. All right, so kind of a summary of what I talked through with you. First, a bit of information gathering. Where does this person work? What is their position? Then through pattern matching, just coming up with, the patterns we all use in our emails. I mean, Neill and I am just the same. It's just our first name at pritech.com.au. That's not very sophisticated. Makes sense because it should be rememberable. But here comes the scary part. As soon as you have any social media stuff public, with AI, it's very easy, even for people who do not speak English at all, to just start understanding how you and your social circle talk, and then just create a ChatGPT profile that talks in the exact same way. Same goes obviously for the corporate lingo that your industry would probably use. That can all be researched with people who have enough time for it. And then when they send you a phishing email, it'll be worded in a way that you probably think this is legitimate. Yeah, and then that example I gave before, you go on your you go on your Bali holiday. They attack your account. They go in there with a token that we saw before, and because they do that, even the records that then security specialists like us would see would only say that you logged into your account. It wouldn't say bad person logged in. It would say you logged in, probably from Russia, and that's very suspicious, but it would still be you. And they also have ways of getting around that. We're seeing that more often, that they hire one-day account at Azure in Sydney, then go on a hacking spree and then kill that virtual machine. And if you only have geo-blocking where it says only IP addresses from Australia, you probably wouldn't even be secure for that. Not trying to scare you with anything of this, but I think it's important to know where we stand and what's going on. And again, this is absolutely what's happening at the moment. This is not a virtual what could happen thing. This is what we see every day. Be aware that it exists. And now I'm going to hand back over to Neill, and he's going to talk a bit about what you can do to protect yourself from these threats. Thank you.
Best unmute myself. So yeah, look, as Max said, there is a lot of really scary stuff out there. We're not here to scare you. We're actually here to talk about fairly simple and logical ways that you, in your everyday life, can actually reduce the risk that you put yourself in. Now, everyone's got a business to run. Everyone works in their business. Everyone wants to be able to function. We all want to be able to share our social media pictures and stuff like that. We're not here to tell you don't do it. We're here to tell you to think about it, how you do it. So one of the obvious ways that these guys look for things is passwords, obviously, trying to compromise passwords. And we will talk a little bit about passwords, but certainly one of the best things that you can do is employ a password manager. So we talked about not saving your passwords in your browser. The problem with saving your passwords in your browser is that it's in your browser. And therefore it puts you at risk. So certainly you can find dedicated password managers. Now, the ones that we've got here are free or readily available ones. We've picked them aimed at ones that meet certain security requirements, like where their data residency is and stuff like that. That's important for you to understand. This is great. Keep one separately from your personal and work life. Don't mix work with pleasure. So Proton Pass is a great free option or a paid option. It's open source, lives in Switzerland, and it's vetted and meets the GDPR requirements. Bitwarden, same deal, free and paid options, US and EU servers available. EU servers are always a good choice because they come under GDPR law, when under US law, the US government can have a look at your account. And then there is one password, which is a great product despite the fact that data residency is in the US. So it's a really good closed source product. There is only a paid version, but certainly it is very much an industry accepted product. So that's password managers. We can jump into that. Now we can talk about passwords. Now, this is the bane of the IT guy's life, when we generate some really stupid password that a lot of password managers come up with, and then nobody can use, so they write it down on a sticky note and they stick it to their monitor. Whenever I meet a new customer, before they're even my customer, I actually walk around their office and I'll start stealing sticky notes off people's screens. And when they go, hey, I need that, we'll go, well, that password's compromised. You probably shouldn't have it. So, it's one of those things that we can do. But all of these, random mishmash of letters and numbers, they're really hard to remember, but they're actually really easy for modern computers to crack. The new way is passphrases. So I love the example Max has got here: Paul_Hogan_crocodile_Dundee_what_A_legend 100%. It is a really complex password when you think about it, but you can absolutely remember, because, Paul Hogan Crocodile Dundee is a legend, and we can absolutely all remember it. It would take absolute centuries for a computer to be able to crack that password. That's a really, really complex phrase, really hard to type. It's quite long. You can find the middle ground there somewhere and just go Paul 07, Hogan 08, Crocodile 09. Again, easy to remember, still very hard to crack, and it gives you a really easy way to do it. For us as an MSP, when we remote into computers and type in really long passwords, passphrases are a great option. Copy and paste is something, that it makes it easier in some circumstances, but it's really powerful when you've got to type this in every single day when you log into your computer. It's a lot easier to type a passphrase like that. So just consider how you actually make your passwords. Consider finding it. I use a simple method. I look around my desk and I go AirPods, pen, selfie stick. There's
Neill, I reckon you've muted yourself.
That's bizarre. How much did I miss? So, passphrases, very easy to use, very simple to play with, and makes your life a lot easier by using memorable words. Use proper MFA. Yes, I know it's painful. Yes, I know it's annoying to have to type in a 6-digit code every single time you log on to something. But you know what? That is the first line of defense when it comes to that. Passwords can be compromised. Your MFA can't be. If you do have MFA and you've got one of the ones that go, are you logging in? If you're not, don't press OK. There are some really good ones in there where they will continue spamming you with MFA, hoping that you'll automatically just go, yes, this is me. Don't do it. Think before you MFA. If you use on mobile devices separate from your computers, obviously it's a separate thing. There's some really good MFA apps for your phone, like Proton Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. To really jump into the security space, we strongly recommend the use of Cisco Duo, which is an enterprise product that MFAs you every time you log into your computer, which is a really handy way to generate some really good security on your login on your devices. Be OSINT aware. Now this is where we start talking about it's okay to share, but really think about what you share. So for networking, yep, cool. You need to say, I'm Neil, I work for Pritech, and I'm a director in the company. That's about all that that comes in here, and you really try and restrict all of the other things. The example Max gave, you can look behind my head here. I've got a conference pass that's hanging on there. It's got a QR code and it's got all my details. It's got all that stuff. So it's a wealth of information, as you said. Don't upload that sort of stuff on there. If you want to share your holiday photos, share them when you get back rather than while you're there. You're still going to get the clicks. You're still going to get the likes. It's just going to save you the embarrassment of coming back to having your house robbed, or giving away information that tells people where you are, what you're doing, and how exposed you are in those places. Separate your work number from your personal number, and do the same with your passwords. Do the same with your apps and methods of authentication. So I use 2 different authentication apps. I've got one for work. I've got one for private. I've got 2 different phone numbers. I've got one for work. I've got one for private. Best bit about that is I can turn them off when I'm not here, and it's great. It goes through the keeper. I don't have to deal with people when I'm on holiday. But it also really reduces the attack surface that people can actually get to you, because you keep things separate. Don't ever, 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 did I get that through? Ever use the same password for work or personal. Find a different password. Find separate passwords. Use separate passwords. Use a password manager, and really separate those things through. The hover and pause rule. When we were kids, this used to be think before you speak. It's really think before you click now. When you receive an email that has a link in it, hover your mouse over it and look at the link before you click the link. And as a general rule, avoid clicking the link. If you're getting a request to sign into your Microsoft, open your browser and type in the address for Microsoft rather than click a link to get there, because that will avoid the risks that Max was talking about with the phishing scams and stuff like that. Pause for payments. If there is ever a change in a payment detail in your organization, pick up the phone. Talk to a person. Call the accounts department. Make sure you're calling the correct number. Don't pick the account off the email, the phone number off the email that you've just received. Look up the business's account's number, call them, talk to a person you know, and make sure that the change is legitimate. Don't email, don't SMS. Max is waving at me, but he's muted.
Yeah, one thing I cannot emphasize enough in this situation. The second you have the following combination, which is money and urgency, it's almost guaranteed a scam. You will never ever have an executive, and some of you are likely executives as well. I haven't seen you in person yet. You will never ever write an email that is really money related and important and say, you need to do this right now because I'm in the supermarket and can't get to my work phone. That's never going to happen. So my alarm bells go off when money is involved, but if urgency is involved, I almost certainly know something's not right here. This combination never works. But for some reason, scammers always love to do that. Urgency, urgency, urgency. I'm in the hospital. Can you hear my wife crying in the background? She's getting her baby now. Can you just do this quick transactions, or I have to get off the phone? This is stuff that happens all the time. It's not crazy stories. Okay, sorry, Neill, back to you.
That's quite right. Absolutely valid advice. So when money is involved, and I mean, let's face it, this is why people hack. They want to gain financial advantage. Just avoid. Think and verify twice. In the old, measure once, cut twice, measure twice, cut once. same deal goes for financial transactions. Just check and make sure. Beware of QR codes. QR codes are a legitimate thing, and we've got a QR code at the end of this presentation. It's not a scan, but just be aware of QR codes. It's a very modern way of separating you from your computer and getting you to use your phone, which, as Max mentioned earlier, brings it to a smaller screen. You feel much more free using your mobile device than you do your work computer. And trust your gut. If it looks hinky, probably is. Even if it doesn't look hinky, it might still be hinky, but absolutely trust your gut when you're using these things. Cool. We're running a little bit over time, so let's just have a really quick Q&A. If there are any questions, I haven't seen any questions pop up in the requests yet. Oh wait, there is one question there.
Yes, there is one here, Neill.
Yeah, look, absolutely. The well-known password protectors like Norton, Total AV, and McAfee. My answer to that is consumer products in business is probably a one to avoid. Norton is probably leaning there. Symantec as a company have been around for a long time. McAfee is hopefully they're not listening to the call because they'll probably try and sue me, but it's a bit of a get what you pay for kind of scenario. A free antivirus is a free antivirus, right? And the same goes into some of these circumstances. And look, in any product, there is a certain level of benefit to them, and there's certainly, I would rather have Norton or McAfee on a computer than nothing, but I would also rather have a much more tried and tested product in that space. We certainly lean more into a much more corporatized product for password managers and stuff like that. We lean towards organizationally managed password protection. So for our corporate customers, we put in a mandate that they use a company-wide password manager, which is controlled, managed, and vetted and audited. And we use dark web scanners to make sure that none of the passwords in there are compromised, stuff like that. So yes, you can use these things, but just bear in mind that you do tend to get what you pay for.
We've
cool.
got
Windows Defender.
Yes.
Yeah, really quickly. Windows Defender. The free Windows Defender is certainly a hell of a lot better than some of the stuff out there. In the malware space, the Windows Defender that comes with your computer is what we call a reactive product rather than a proactive product. In that malware space, there are certainly much better products that are, things like EDRs, XDRs, which is enhanced detection and response. That is much more about looking for anomalous behavior rather than reacting to something that's already there. That's the direction we'd really prefer people to run into there. Now, Max is going to talk really fast through the next set of slides about AI and oversharing.
Sure. I see there's other questions. We see if we get to them. Let's just jump into one very recent topic. How tempting is it when you have a lot of, I'm just gonna say, for example, resumes or something in front of you, a lot of information that you have to get through and understand in a short amount of time. And how tempting is it to just chuck it all into ChatGPT and have it summarized for you? It's very tempting. Obviously, we all know that's a very bad idea. But what are we going to do? We're just going to sit around and have these tools, just sit there? No. Before we go, look, there's surely going to be a long-term solution for this. But right now, what we think is a very easy way to use as much AI as you want and never worry about sensitive data again is you use what we use, just a good reduction hygiene. And that works that way that you just copy and paste whatever text you want to put, let's say, in ChatGPT or whatever product you're using. But before you copy it in there, that's important. What's in the box even before you send it out is technically already on at least the software in your browser. So probably do it first into a text editor. Then you're going to replace it. And the replacements is we recommend you do. They're contextual. So you would, sorry, I just opened another screen. It's a bit small here. So you don't say redacted. You say employee 1, organization 2, my organization, customer organization. You give the number, and all important PII types and items you replace with context. Like at the bottom, you could see I just made up that law company, and then you would call it customer law firm number 2. So let's say you have 2 law firms. This indicates which one, and it indicates what they do, and that is the customer. And the great thing is that, as you may know, all these AI tools, they're all machine learning that's really good with language. So they will just spit that back out to you. They understand that. You don't have to be afraid that this goes missing. They love stuff like that. The most handy thing you can do is you create a list with, let's say, 20 or 30 of these PII types you deal all the time with, and then you just have that ready to copy and paste. All right. Quickly, next one. Yeah, anyone with the link, please be aware very, very much when you're using SharePoint and OneDrive and you're sharing links. For a reason nobody really in the security space understands, and there's a big question mark, the default option is anyone with the link, unless this is set up by your organization. But if your organization has not set that up in your tenancy, unfortunately, it's the default setting. Anyone with a link. And you may see these links and you'll say, well, this is a number that has so many digits that's in the billions of possibilities of somebody knowing this exact link. Unfortunately, there's things like Google and also the new AI providers. They actively search the internet for everything that's out there. And if your link is a public link, there's a possibility, and it had happened before, that this link to this file will be searchable in Google. Again, something as part of open source intelligence. I would really, really like to ask you and encourage you to never use this option. Only share with people you know that are in your organization connected to or are legitimate guests that you invite. The second thing you should do is almost every file you share with someone has probably a due date. If you don't know exactly, surely in 1 month, nobody maybe needs that access if you talk about it on the day or the week. Always give it a due date and always use password or code sharing. So even if somebody has the link outside the organization, that is, that they also need a password that you give them. Yeah, all right. Let's go. Yeah, okay. So here are a few things we would encourage you strongly to do. Tomorrow morning, if you just do one of them, that's going to make a huge difference to your security posture. Ideally, pick one that's probably not being covered already, right? So you go to the sharing settings, you go into your OneDrive or SharePoint, and you look at shared by you and shared with me options. And then you look at the links. And whenever you see a link that is identified as anyone with a link, you remove that link. You think if that link is longer required with that person, and then if yes, you just create a new one that is only for that person within that organization. Ideally, the next thing you could do is you install a password manager from a separate vendor. If you have an iPhone, not trying to make any advertisement here or so, but the password manager that comes with Apple iOS is a very, very good tool. So if you have that, this is just for personal use. It's absolutely fine to use that. With Android, it depends on the model. So I'm not going to directly recommend that, but they're not bad. Every password manager is better than the one in your browser. Yeah, and then please turn on multi-factor authentication for your personal accounts. Your Facebook, your Instagram, TikTok, they all offer that, but they probably don't encourage you to do it. And a bit more, if you could do this next week, we feel this was a valuable time spent today with you, which it was anyway, but this is something we'd be happy for you to do. Take the time once and create an AI reduction template. And if you really see the potential of using AI for work-related tasks, then yeah, spend a few hours on this. Because once you have that and you build a habit, you're gonna get the speed back up, and you never ever have to worry about whether you should have used it that one time or not. Transition your passwords in the password manager when you have one. This web page here haveibeenpawned.com. That's a free project by a security researcher that completely for free tells you if any of your emails or passwords was part of a data breach. Pretty much any one that was ever recorded in history. It's a bit of a emotional roller coaster to go in there, because you probably find something. But I would strongly recommend you do that, because then it'll also probably tell you which password was disclosed, and then you can check whether you use it somewhere else. Yeah. All right. I think that's it for here. Maybe we jump into a few more questions before we wrap up.
Yeah, there's 2 more questions that have popped in there. So for Charlene, Malwarebytes ? Yes, Malwarebytes is a great product. The free version we use quite actively for reactive scanning and checking. The Malwarebytes Total product is actually a really good personal security product for your own computer. It's not a corporate product. That I will caveat that. If you're working with a corporate product, you need something that is centralized and shared for the entire organization, that has a dashboard that can view your entire security status. Malwarebytes isn't there in that space, but it's great for that. Is II oversharing a risk with Copilot from Micro? 100% yes. Copilot comes in a few different versions. Harvey Norman is flogging Copilot-enabled PCs left, right, and centre that use your Microsoft personal account for Copilot. You cannot turn training off in a real valid way for that. So everything you put in that is going on to the internet, and it's going onto a server that we can't guarantee what happens with that. So yes, it is a risk. If you go into corporate Copilot in your Microsoft 365 and your IT provider or your internal IT department goes through all of the recommended onboarding steps with Microsoft, you can internalize that to a large extent, but still redact your stuff before you put it in there. That is certainly not a hard process to do. It's, again, think before you type. Just really redact and reduce that thing there. So, yeah, sorry, we did run a little bit over time, guys, but we are certainly happy to help answer any questions. Feel free to jump onto our website. That is a safe QR code. It just leads to a Microsoft form for booking an appointment with us if you want to have a quick chat and talk about or get any further clarification on some of the stuff that we have spoken about. So feel free to jump on there, book an appointment. You'll find my my name in the list of appointments. Just select that one and select a slot in the calendar. That'll jump on and create a Teams meet where we can sit down and have a quick half-hour chat. There's no charge for that, and we'll certainly be able to follow up with anything that you need from there. So, thanks, guys.
Lovely.
Much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Neill and Mike. That was awesome. Thank you for sharing all the wealth of knowledge that you have. There's just been a comment which says it's been a fabulous session, and that the attendee will take your advice and do the next step that you've suggested. So that's brilliant.
Thanks very much.
That's awesome. If we win one person in a day, then we're happy. That's one person that's safer. So that's great.
100%.
Thanks, guys.
100%.
Yeah, really, appreciate it.
Perfect. I guess this brings us to the end then. So this event has been run as part of the WorkSafe Tasmania month. Please head to worksafe.tas.gov.au/month to find out some more of our webinars and in-person sessions that we have for the rest of the month. There will also be a survey link towards the end of this session, and we'd love to hear your feedback on that. It's been an absolute pleasure again, Neill and Mag. It's been great, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. Have a great rest of the day, and I guess stay safe, everyone.
You too.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. Bye.